Hey guys, so I just got done listening to the quarter two meeting from NCSoft Corporation about their finances. They spoke with some of their top investors who had some concerns, and they gave a little bit of more information about Aion 2. So I figured I'd make a video and update you all on that. And we can tie some of this information into what is happening with Aion Classic NA, along with Aion Retail NA right now, along with the player concerns. So first, I just want to start by saying, if you guys listened to my previous video about quarter one that was posted about a month or two ago, maybe now, NCSoft was bragging and they were so excited and happy because they showed a huge growth overall in the entire company, especially with their MMO online PC games. Aion played a huge contribute to that, especially since Aion Classic released during the end of that first quarter. That first month fell at the very end of their first quarter, so it really boosted their sales, and they just saw huge revenue from it. And Aion actually ended up contributing over 30% of their gross revenue, which is huge for a gaming company that has so many IPs under their command and so many games out. That Aion counted for 1/3 of their total gross revenue. So they were real excited last quarter about that, and they were real proud of it and kept mentioning it over and over again. And then quarter two came. Quarter two just ended, so it was just the last couple months, and it does not look good for NCSoft. They saw a total of a decline of 18% for their gross income from their PC MMOs. That's all their PC MMOs, not just Aion. Aion specifically had a 19% decline in revenue. 19%. That's almost 20%. That is a huge decline in revenue. And they said they had to do in part with the release of Aion Classic and how it was handled. They did specifically mention that. They didn't go into any more details than that. If you guys have ever listened to any of the NCSoft meetings or anything, they're very vague about what they release or talk about. It's real annoying. They don't really tell us much. And it doesn't just annoy us as the players and customers, it annoys their investors. And I'll get to that in a second, because their investors did not seem too happy about a few things. But let's not get into that right now. So Aion declined on a quarterly basis of 19% across the board. That's all regions, not just North America. That's Europe, Korea, all over. It declined 19% in revenue. But at the same time, Aion is still making more revenue this year than it was last year. So the revenue has gone up as a whole, but has gone down quarterly. So that could be attributed to the discourse we're having over in North America. That does make a significant impact. If you ever go and look at the NCSoft revenue streams, they are public knowledge since they are a publicly traded company. And you can see that North America actually makes up the largest contributor to funds and revenue for NCSoft other than Korea. It's more than double of any other region, so it's more than double of Europe and Taiwan and all those other places that they operate. The only place that exceeds the U.S., the North American audience for revenue, is Korea, which is a pretty big market for them. They're really big there, but their advertisement budget there is insane, and what they do for their Korean place payers is just dramatic compared to everyone else. And that's going to be changing, though. During this meeting, they talked about how they have increased their marketing expenditures by 300% compared to last year. So they are using 300% more revenue towards marketing and campaigning across the board for everything. Includes Aion, Guild Wars, Lineage, Blade and Soul, all those IPs. They're spending a lot more on marketing to kind of reach out to a wider player base, and they repeat it during this meeting over and over and over again that they are changing their marketing scheme. Before, they always catered mostly to Korea, and then they would kind of do some minor tweaks for other region releases, but Korea would always get everything first. They would get it way before everyone else, and basically every game was designed to operate as in it was still in Korea. They didn't really modify it to work in other regions, and they're changing that completely. Their priority number one now is to cater to a global market and not just Korea moving forward. And this will be for all their IPs, all their games. So it'll be for Guild Wars, Lineage, Aion, Blade and Soul, Fuser, all their games. They are going to customize them more to meet the market demands of a global market. So playing in Korea, Aion in Korea, and playing Aion in North America and Europe, all three will be three different experiences based on their target market in those areas, what the players want, what they like, what they don't like. They are going to change it. They are also working to make sure that games moving forward, any new patches that come out and new games that are coming out. They're putting out a lot of games, by the way, but I'm not going to get into all those right now. But those games are going to cater not just to the top tier hardcore players, but they want to cater to all the players, the casual players, the part-time players, the streamers that just poke in to see what they're doing, and the hardcore players. They want to have options for all players, and like they said again and again and again during this meeting, they want to cater to a global total market of everyone. So it'll be interesting to see how they start doing that here in North America, and hopefully we'll start seeing more of that in Aion. So that'll be something to keep our eye on. Now I want to move on to something that I talked about a little earlier about their top investors. Now NCSoft is a publicly traded company, which means they have investors, and they have some big hitters that really invest in them, such as Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. They all own shares of NCSoft Corporation, and they all had concerns and questions, and I kind of almost felt bad for the NCSoft Corporation guy that was talking, because he got grilled pretty good on several things, and you might recognize some of these complaints. Like one of them was they grilled them on why the games were performing so poorly compared to last quarter, while other markets from other publishers are not seeing such a decline like they saw. And NCSoft kind of really brushed it off, saying, well, we're still doing better than we did last year, so we're doing great. We have 20 years of experience. We know what we are doing. You have to trust us. Moving forward, things look like they're going to be better. But they really got grilled on that, why they're seeing a decline while other publishers aren't. And other investors, they chimed in and criticized NCSoft for not sharing information with their investors or even their target audience. Those that have played NCSoft games for a long time, you know, NCSoft does not release information. They will be the company that's just sitting there in the dark. No one expects anything from them, and then overnight they just release a game and they're like, hey, this game's out, it's available, go play it, you can play it right now. And everyone's like, whoa, where'd this come from? We didn't even know you guys were working on this. And they actually just announced a game during this meeting that they were working on called Lineage W, and that's going to be dropping, and it was kind of a bombshell. They had no prior warning that this game was in development or in the pipeline or anything really. Like, they knew they were working on different Lineage titles, but then they were like, oh yeah, Lineage W is going to be dropping in the very near future, and blah blah blah, and we have a showcase coming up where we're going to show it and everything. And the investors were really taken by this and like, why are we just hearing about this now? If you have a finished project, that means you've been developing for some time. You really haven't told us about it. When you want to build hype, when you want to leak stuff to the press, leak stuff to your investors, your customers, to build up hype like any other company. And once again, they revert back to we've been in operation for 2 decades. We know what we're doing. We know what works. Well, I kind of disagree with that. Most of the player base would disagree with that. One of the things that North America hates the most, I can tell you, NCSoft, if you are listening, we hate being in the dark. We like open communication. We don't want to know when, we don't want to be surprised by when a patch is coming out or a new game is coming out. We don't want to be surprised on if you know about an issue or not. We want to know what you know. We want information. We crave information. If that wasn't true, I wouldn't have so many subscribers and other YouTube channels that talk about Aion or other games from NCSoft wouldn't have such a following, because you guys are so secretive. So in part, thank you for being so secretive. You help grow our channels. In other part, get your stuff together. Learn what your target market actually likes. They like to be informed. So inform your players. Inform your investors. I mean, that was hard to listen to. Listen to the investors kind of chime in on you guys like that. Another thing that was brought up from another investor was they were talking about how influencers from social media and YouTube were talking about these games, and they had more information than the investors did, and why this was, and why NCSoft was so secretive about it, and said that they need to pay attention to the influencers, which is very true. NCSoft, you need to pay attention and listen to your community, listen to your player base, listen to your target market, your customers. So NCSoft really got grilled on that. It was interesting to listen to. I don't know how else to say that. As for Aion 2, I'm sorry for those of you that have been listening for almost 12 minutes now, and just now I'm burying the Aion 2 plug. They did give us a little information, but not much to go on, not enough for its own video. They said Aion 2 is going smoothly and they're excited for a global audience. They are looking forward to doing a multi-region release, which means they will release Aion 2 in more than one region at a time. They really hinted towards they want to do it globally. So instead of just Korea getting it first and then the rest of the world waiting for a year before they see it, it will release in several places at the same time. And it was asked of them if they do a launch for Aion 2 along with a few other games, if Korea is going to get it first before everyone else, or if Korea is going to be one of the first ones. And they said not necessarily. They are still working in development, and they will release it when they release it, and when they release it, it will be global. They're hoping for a global release. So that's kind of exciting to know that they are going to release in multiple regions at the same time. They did say that they had to shift direction in game development for Aion 2, which they talked briefly about last quarter as well. They talked about how they want to open it so they have a target market of not just young players, not just middle-aged players, not just older players, but all of them. They really want to include every type of player you can imagine, from casual to hardcore and everything in between. And they want to market to different age ranges, a much broader age range than they normally and typically have gone towards. So they talked more about how they did a shift of direction in the game development for that, and they did give us a release date, not exact date, but a year. They did say they are looking to release Aion 2 next year, which will be in 2022. So that is something to look forward to. I wish it was coming a lot sooner, especially here in NA, because the players were not very happy with the way things are going. Hopefully Aion 2 will be handled better staffed, and they will listen better to the community for that when it comes out. But it's something to look forward to for next year. 2022, Aion 2 will be released, hopefully in the NA market as well as other markets. They will be also having the NCSoft showcase on August 19th. So that already came and went. We didn't really see anything for Aion 2 during that. It was just for some of their mobile games and Lineage W and other things. So unfortunately, didn't get much information from that showcase. Not that I saw. Maybe I missed something. Leave a comment below if you guys saw something that I missed, maybe. But that's all I really have for right now. Like I said, NCSoft, if you watch my videos, or if you need one from the investors, from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, any of you guys, if you watch this video because you got tagged in it, because I mentioned you in it, maybe you should question next time you guys have a meeting with NCSoft why their North American player base, especially the Aion player base, is so angry, and why they lost over 10% of their population in under 1 week. Yeah, neglecting your players and your customers is a bad thing. Very bad. Shame on you guys. You need to get your stuff together. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys. Hope you liked the video. Share it with your friends. Leave a comment below if you have a question. I found some more information out from NCSoft. I'm going to be digging through that. Hopefully have a more updated video on more information of Aion 2 or the workings of NCSoft as a whole. Hope to find a lot more about that. But hopefully I'll see you guys in game, and have fun grinding.